Probability, single events with and without replacement. So in our last video, we learned that probability is the likelihood or chance of a specific event or events taking place. And there's a formula that you can use to calculate probability. The numerator is the desired outcome. What is it that you want to happen? And the denominator is the total number of possible outcomes. And just a reminder that all probability is between 0 and 1. 0, it can't possibly happen. And if the probability of something is 1 or 100%, then it must absolutely happen. Anything between 1/2 and 1 is a likely event. Anything below a half is an unlikely event. It's unlikely to happen. And if it's exactly a half, it's neither likely or unlikely. So let's take a look at this example. And this is with replacement. Let's say we put all of these cards in the magic hat and you were going to choose one card. So it's a single event. Well, there are 5 total outcomes that could happen. There are 5 cards in the hat. So the probability of selecting an ace, the desired outcome is an ace. There are 4 of them. The probability is 4 out of 5, or 80%. The probability of selecting a 2 out of the hat, well, there's only 1 2. So if the desired outcome is a 2, it would be 1 out of 5. You have a 1 out of 5 chance of selecting the 2 out of the hat. So that would be 20% if we convert it to a percent. And the probability, if you put all the cards in there and you wanted to select a red card, well, there are 2 red cards. The probability is 2 out of 5, or 40%. And the probability would remain the same as long as you put the card back in the hat after you selected it. Now, what would happen if you didn't put the card back? You didn't replace the card. Okay, let's say that you had all the cards in there and you pulled out the ace of diamonds. Okay, so now there's only 4 cards left in the hat. Now what is the probability of an ace? Well, now there's only 4 possible outcomes instead of 5, and there are 3 aces, so the probability would be 75%. The probability of a 2 would be 1 out of 4, and the probability of a red is also 1 out of 4. So these would both have an equal chance of 25%. All right, let's look at one more example. So here we have a grab bag activity. So you're blindfolded and we put some marbles into a jar, and there are 10 marbles in there. So there are 10 possible outcomes. The probability of selecting a blue is 5 out of 10, since there are 5 blue marbles. So that's a 50% chance. So that's neither likely or unlikely. The probability of a yellow, well, there are 4 yellows, so that's 4 out of 10, or 40%. The probability of a red, there's only 1 red, so it's 1 out of 10, 10%. And the probability of a blue or a red, if you add up the blue and red marbles, there are 6. So that'd be 6 out of 10. That's a highly likely event at 60%. It's more than half. Now, what would happen if we didn't replace one of the marbles that we picked out? So let's say that we selected a blue marble and we didn't put it back. Now what is the probability of selecting a blue? Well, there are 9 outcomes and there are 4 blue, so the probability would be 4 out of 9. And if you were converting that to a percent, it would be 44%. The probability of a yellow is also 4 out of 9. The probability of a red is 1 out of 9. So that would actually be 11%. And the probability of a blue or a red. So a blue or a red, there's a total of 5. That'd be 5 out of 9, which would be 55%. One more example. Let me just get these out of the way here. So what would happen if the marble that you selected was red? Okay, so there are 9 marbles left. The probability of a blue would now be 5 out of 9, as it was well, no, actually it went up. So that's 55%. The probability of a yellow is 4 out of 9. Now the probability of a red, there aren't any red left. It's actually 0% or 0 because it's 0 out of 9. And the probability of a blue or a red would be 5 out of 9. Now what would happen, one last example here, what would happen if we didn't put the red back in and we pulled out another marble, we pulled out a blue. Now what would be the probability of these? Well, there are 8 possible outcomes left. So the probability of a blue would actually be 50%, 4 out of 8. The probability of a yellow, same, 4 out of 8, 50%. The probability of a red is still 0, 0 out of 8. And the probability of a blue or a red would be 4 out of 8. So that's all there is to it. That's single events with and without replacement.